I got to go get my pedicure and stuff today.
Cool stuff. I didn't get that kind of stuff done. Welcome, everyone, to today's webinar, tonight's webinar. We're really excited to be here, and yes, we are live. I'm here with our guest tonight, but before I do the introduction, it's only appropriate that I start off with a couple of house cleaning things. First of all, many of you have been asking about the recordings. When can you get to it? You notice when you try to get to it in YouTube or something, it's all private and not unavailable. The good news is we have all of the recordings for you. You'll be able to access them as often as you like. They'll be on the site. So tomorrow, as we get ready to close out, we close out on Wednesday night, I'm going to give you a link where you can access all the recordings. For 1 full week, you'll be able to go and listen to everybody you didn't listen to yet. That way, if you miss someone, you can get to it. The other thing is, it's great to see a lot of you guys. I see people from all over. It's great to have you here with us. Those who are local and domestically from the United States or Canada, those who are in other parts of the world, God bless you. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to ask you that you refrain from posting any links for your company names, and things of that sort. This is about the individual. This is not about a team. This is not about a company. This is about you and what can happen for you. I've intentionally invited guests who are just like you. They started where you are and just so happen to be fortunate enough to be on the other side of the money. They're on the other side of some of the challenges that many of you face. So if you could focus, step outside of your group for a minute, your company for a minute, and think of yourself as an individual and take this information and allow it to have fertile ground so you can begin to mature certain things in your business life and your personal life. So all that being said, let's dance. Tonight, I have an amazing guest who I'm going to first of all congratulate on your upcoming anniversary to Jon Gillardi and his lovely wife Gina. I wish you all the best in your whatever you guys are going to do for that amazing day. And I also would like to congratulate you because you, in many ways, or a lot of us, would like to be because of your ability to overcome challenges. I know everybody has their thing. Everybody carries their bag and has to bear their own burdens. But a lot of yours, in your case, they're out front where everybody can see them. And to overcome what you had to do in weight loss and even dealing with alcoholism and how you've overcome that stuff to be a top earner in multiple locations or multiple companies, it takes a lot. So I'm going to do my best not to interfere tonight and yet be pretty direct with questions that I believe will help other people. Ladies and gentlemen, help me in giving it up for none other than the Jon Gillardi of the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, Jon, he's right here. Welcome him.
Hey, Wayne. How you doing?
Jon, I'm doing great, Jon. Tell me, am I off the mark the way I I touch on two areas that I know are big because people who in this industry, we're human beings. We come from all kinds of stuff, and people need to see that there's life beyond just challenges. Am I a right marker when I say those things that you've overcome them and yet you're still moving forward?
Absolutely. And by the way, thank you for wishing us a happy anniversary. I don't know if my wife can hear. She's all the way at the other side of the house. But
happy anniversary, Gina!
Thanks. Well, I got to tell you, I got in the industry at a young age, and my record was clean. I had a little bit of a weight problem when I joined the industry, and then I went through a lot of problems being in the industry. And to tell you the truth, if I had to go to corporate America and work for a financial services company today and get licensed, it probably wouldn't happen. There's no murder or there's no anything like that. But I'll tell you what, this industry, a lot of the top earners and a lot of the people who are going to be the top earners in the future, they wouldn't be able to get a regular job. They wouldn't pass a criminal background check. They wouldn't. There's a lot of stuff that all of us have baggage, and a lot of other people have it too. But the problem is that this industry allows us to get to the top regardless of our background. Where corporate America in a normal job, you might be able to get a regular job, but you're not going to go up the ladder if you have a bad background, or a bad history. So this is one of the things. So yeah, you might get the job entry level, but you're going to hit a lot of roadblocks on the way up, the red tape. There's no red tape in MLM. There's a lot of drama in MLM, and
A lot.
a lot of drama. But so it's one of the things that, yeah, it lets a lot of people be able to rise to the top. And I haven't seen it one time, 10 times. I've seen it hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of times. Even one individual who built his organization from calling collect to the home office to the owner, who three-wayed him into his three-ways and invited people to meetings, and he couldn't be there because he was in federal prison, and he always said, well, able to be at that meeting. And that individual went on to make over $50,000 a month and built for almost 3 years from jail. And that's a public story. I'm not going to mention his name. You know,
sure.
Ask me afterwards. So yeah, the industry has helped me, but it also, you know, I was my own worst enemy. Yeah, and I do everything public. I'm very outgoing. I've been outgoing since I was super obese. People know probably by now that I used to weigh over 650 pounds, 652 the day.
Whoa, can we stop for a second, because I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I thought it was like, you know, 280 pounds or something. You weighed over 650.
652 the day of surgery. I used to eat 280 for breakfast. I mean, that was just, 280. Those are lightweights. I mean, those are nothing. I mean, and you got to remember, I'm 5'6" on a good day if I'm going out in heels, you know, and so I had an 88-inch waist. So that was.
So here's a question. I don't want to be personal, but were you confined to bed, or did you have a device to help you?
Well, I was in the financial services industry, and I was married at that time to my first wife. And the last 6 months, when I was getting to the end of my rope, I was going on every diet again. And around Christmas of that year of 1992, I went over to a friend's house, and his mother, when I walked in the door, was in the kitchen, and he saw me, and he hadn't seen me in a few months, and he said, "Bro, you're going to die." And I'm like, "Nice to see you too. Merry Christmas." And he said, "You need to speak to my mother because she's having this thing called gastric bypass." So I went, I was like, "You don't understand. For Christmas, I'm going to, after the new year, I'm going to do another diet." He goes, "You've tried that. You've been getting bigger." So after speaking to his mother, she introduced me to her doctor, and she was scheduled for surgery at the end of January. And that was 1993, so right after that Christmas of 92. And when I went to meet with that doctor, he had never done anybody my size. I was 5'50" when he weighed me then. And the only reason that he allowed me to go through with the surgery, he said, "Listen, we're going to do some tests on you. And because of your age at 25, because I was 25 at the time, he said, if you come back clean from your test, I'll do the surgery." So I went through a series of tests. He wanted me to try to lose weight. I ended up going through the surgery actually before my friend's mother. Hers got canceled and moved up, and I had it 5 days before her. And I had my surgery February 16th of 1993. And from going in and meeting him right after January, right after the new year, in that short amount of time, I went from 5'50", and then they weighed me naked, which was not a pretty sight. And they weighed me naked, and I was 652 on a special scale the morning of surgery. And by the way, after hearing Michelangelo's great webinar the other night, I do not have to be PG rated. I know that.
Okay. Okay. Well, you know what, man? All I can say is wow, and that people need to, because here's the deal: everything's relative, and a weight loss challenge or a weight challenge and keeping it down and being healthy is just as big of a challenge as trying to grow a team or being consistent. And so I imagine that you transitioned or transferred over to building home business. A lot of the things you have had to overcome, and if that's the case, tell us about it.
Well, it's a mindset. No matter what it is, all my addictions that I've ever had, from the weight, until I was 34 years old. And after losing all the weight, the money came, the mansions came, the cars came, and my ego went bigger and bigger and bigger. And people say I have an ego now, and there's different to have an ego and being confident. And it's a big, big difference. And I've learned where it becomes a difference. And a lot of people say when you step on a company or you're very outgoing or very vocal against certain bad things going on in the industry, they say they go and that you're doing it for your own benefit. But it's really not true. So I got knocked down again. So after that addiction, the alcoholism came, and that pretty much smacked me down to reality. And it knocked me down so hard that I lost everything. I ended up getting divorced. I lost my son. I lost my parents. That they left me. A lot of people have heard the story before. My son just turned 20 about 3 weeks ago, and I haven't seen him since he's a couple of weeks before his 8th birthday. I lost parental rights. I mean, I showed up in court drunk, and I ended up being homeless for it, and I lost everything. I mean, when I mean homeless, I got out of jail, and I was homeless in the streets, panhandling. I lived in Salvation Armies. I went to rehabs. I went to halfway houses. And I did this in Dallas, Texas, in the west end of Dallas. And behind the Dallas Convention Center is something called the Dallas Life Foundation. And some of the big events that I went to at that convention center, where I was the speaker and everything else previously, I now was panhandling, drinking a bottle of Mad Dog 2020 behind that in an alley with bums. And I was one of them.
This is after the surgery and after all that stuff?
Correct. And that's correct.
So did you relapse and begin to build your weight back up at the same time, or is that something?
No, I never built the weight back up because of the gastric bypass. It's kind of a cheat card. I eat everything under the sun. There's a lot of people on this webinar who have been away with me on trips. They see that I order everything on the menu, but I physically can't eat it. I'm the king of take-home. Ask Pete Del Monaco, I'll tell you. And you know, we have 4 or 5 refrigerators in our house, and people love coming over because they're all labeled with different places that we've eaten. So the weight is almost impossible for me to gain back. If I got into milkshakes, I could probably you know, down milkshakes because it would go down through my system at like a water slide almost. But I'm not really into the milkshake thing. But what I found out is, you know, I never drank alcohol before. And when I picked up my first drink of alcohol, because of my addictive personality, no matter what it is, I was a full-fledged alcoholic, drinking 2 1.5 liters a day of tequila. And I did that for almost 8 years.
Okay.
So
wow.
That was just another addiction. But business is another addiction. It doesn't matter. You can take my weight addiction out. You can take my alcohol addiction out. It doesn't really make a difference. You know, I want to do something really quick. While I'm on the subject of addiction, I want to do a little exercise for people because I want people to understand that with my ego and stuff, there was a time I wish I would have had this because I used to train on it and all my training went out the window. But I don't want people to answer this publicly. I want you to take a pen and paper out. If you don't have one already, go out, take a pen and paper out, and write this down. It's very, very simple. I want you to describe your favorite animal. Your favorite animal in detail. It's very, very simple. It can be anything. You don't have to put it in the chat. Don't do it to yourself. If you're sitting there, 2 of you, a spouse, a boyfriend, girlfriend, write down your favorite animal, what it looks like. You know, does it have long, it has hair, short hair? Is it, you know, clean, and whatever it is, bold. And underneath it, write some of the attributes to that animal. Why do you like that animal? Okay? Now I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to do that while I continue to talk. Because this is very, very important because it's going to open a lot of people's eyes. And I'm going to go through a couple of these scenarios by the end of the webinar. And I'm going to go through a longer one where I'm going to ask a bunch of questions and write them down. So I want people to have that. But again, describe your animal and get into detail. So any real quick things, if you want to call them adjectives, I'm not a spelling major. My wife was an English major. I'm a math guy. If you put a $sign on it, I'll understand it a lot better. But describe that animal. I mean, what does it look like? What does it make you feel like? Okay, now that everybody's probably done that already, and this is funny. Now, when you describe an animal, and I'm asking somebody to describe an animal, what you're actually describing is how you want the world to view you. When you describe an animal with all the attributes that you like about that animal, that's how you want the world to see you. Now, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a wake-up call, okay? There's a website you can go to, okay? It's called Animal in You. Animal, the word animal, I-N-U. Animal in You. Now, That, what will happen is that will go through after you fill out that little questionnaire, that test. If you're honest, it'll take you about 30 seconds to 60 seconds. Now, don't go there and do it now. Stay on the webinar, but write it down for afterwards. I'm going to go through a bunch more of these. But if you go through that, okay, and you list through, it's going to tell you the way that you really are, the way that the world sees you. And it's going to open your eyes a lot, because I didn't do it through tests because the internet wasn't prevalent back in the 90s. I was on the internet, but it wasn't where you could type in anything. But when you go through, it's going to show you how you want the world to view you, but how the world really views you because of what the personality. And it's pretty spot on if you're honest. If you're not honest, you know, there's a couple things. And there's a more detailed test, the Kiersey temperament test, and you can go through. But I'm going to go through a really crazy one at the end, you know, when we get back from a lot of other stuff. One of the things I do think that saved me a lot probably was that I was a big reader. I don't read your Harry Potter. Harry Potter wasn't even around then. You know, I don't read that. My wife reads, you know, probably 2 or 3 books a week. Every night she goes up into the bedroom, you know, before dinner and, you know, before she cooks, and she reads for an hour, and she likes doing it. We go on vacation, and she sits by the pool or on the beach, and she likes to read. I'm the business kind of guy, and I want to know business facts, and I want stuff that I can go detail. So one of the things that saved me, because my mind was actually going at the time, you know, was that I had read so much. I was reading probably 50 to 100 books per year, some of them multiple times per year, that I still read to this day. And when I laid in a jail cell for 14 months, not only I read in the jail cell, but I was able to reflect back on a lot of that stuff. And it gets you through a lot of the garbage. Believe it or not, while people were fighting in jail and there was contraband, don't get me wrong, I gambled, I smoked in jail, we made jailhouse wine, so I did the stuff in there. But to kind of disassociate myself, I went into my own world. A lot of it was living in my past, which was bad. But a lot of it was trying to recall some of the business books and motivational books, you know, that I had read in the past, and that kind of kept me going. I'm not a very God-type person. I'm more of a spiritual person. I do wear, you know, a cross, and, you know, I used to go to church. I became a Christian in 1998 when I moved the first time to Dallas, Texas. But I'm more that I believe in something more in the spiritual sense. Some people call it God and things like that. But there's a lot of other things that I rely on. So what people want to do if they're starting out, you know, we weren't all born internet marketers and network marketers and Dwayne Goldens. We weren't, you know, Myron Goldens and the Michelangelos. We go through regular problems, okay? We go through regular problems. I have, if you can look really close, adult acne. I'm 46 years old, going to be 47. I can't get rid of adult acne. It pisses me off. And, you know, but I go through regular problems, and it bothers me. Everybody goes through problems, and I have bigger problems than that. One of my good friends who you spoke to today had a family member commit suicide this week, and he's a top earner. And I believe you know about that. So we go through life's problems. It's how we're going to handle it. And I wasn't handling them the right way, I can tell you that. But, you know, some of the stuff that I read, okay, believe it or not, that book right there, okay, Sun Tzu, The Art of War. I don't know if you can see it really good, but you can see it there a little bit.
Yeah, you can see it.
Yep. But you have to keep your mind fresh, whether you read it for a few minutes at a time. I'm not saying sit down and read a whole book at once. Sit down, whether it's 5 minutes, whether you're using it to go to the bathroom, whatever you're doing, keep the book in there. Read 5-10 minutes a day on something that interests you, that's going to advance your life, that you can fall back on in the future. That you can fall back on in the future. Because if you don't, there's people who read, they might not have as good skills as you. You might be the most polished, the best presenter, the best this, the best that. I can tell you this, you can take a person off the street and mold them, okay? Almost like the moving Trading Places, you know, with Eddie Murphy back in the day, who they took a guy, an experiment, which was a joke movie, okay? But you can groom somebody, okay? And books can groom you to what you want to be. And it had a lot to do with it. And you have to really be able to understand that. So I'll shut up now. You can keep going.
No, it was very good. That's very good stuff. And, you know, if you notice that the one common thread amongst everybody who has gone past from where they are to where they want to be, that's the one common thread that's there, the personal development, what we put into our minds. While many are out buying new large screen televisions, many of us were out filling our library through books like he's shown you or audio books and are going to live trainings. You know, you said something to me about a month or two ago, John. You mentioned, you know, it's funny. A lot of people act like they're big shots and they say they're really big timing it, but you never see them at any of the events where we all grow and build our minds. So, you know, you have to wonder how much of it's hot air and how much is not. So, well said. You know, there's people here tonight who they're new to all this stuff. You know, they're just getting out of the corporate world or still in it. What do you say about you know, to someone who's new? What's a good starting point? You know, you have been in many different companies and you rise to the top and you hustle. You're there, but you're not afraid to work. I've seen you to host your own live events. I've seen you even host three-way calls and live, you know, online webinars. I've seen you do it all. And a lot of people think that you just arrive one day, next thing you know, you're off taking snapshots while you're in Greece. But talk a little bit about the rolling your sleeves up, not being afraid to work, and knowing and keeping. That's how you sustain the stuff. Talk about that for a moment.
Well, I paid my dues. I paid my dues, you heard, through my addictions that I overcame, but that was something of a personal choice. But I paid my dues also in the network marketing, internet marketing arena. And what I mean by that is, in the beginning, it was rough. In the beginning, when I built the Big A, which is where I got started at a young age, it was totally old school, 100%. There was no internet. There was no cell phones. I mean, I had a car phone, but I just wanted it so I could hold it up at a light because it was like $800 a minute or something like that. And, you know, I got like 10 minutes a month. But our business was built by picking up a regular phone, smiling and dialing, setting appointments, going to meet with the people on there, and even you remember back in the day, you know, even to get a regular webinar system, I mean a conference call system back in the day with MCI, and people are worried about long distance charges. There was none of that. It was old school. So I paid my dues. I paid my dues by driving from New York to North Carolina 3 weeks in a row, okay, on a Monday night after getting off from work and getting blown off by the same individual. From driving, my first network marketing event I ever went to was at the Georgia Dome here in Atlanta, Georgia. I live about an hour north of Atlanta, but my first one, when I joined that Big A, their events they used to do at the Georgia Dome. And that was my first network marketing big seminar event that I went to. And I drove to it. You know, and I had a weight problem, so, you know, it was not very easy for me to travel. It was easy for me to get in a car and drive. So I paid my dues. I mean, I've done probably 1,000 one-on-ones that I drove to. And I'm not talking about hotel meetings and everything else. And I'm talking about going to hotel meetings 4 nights a week in New Jersey, from upstate New York to Rochester, New York, to Albany, up and down to Pennsylvania and stuff, and putting 50, 60,000 miles a year on a car and having a full-time job at that time. Now, I didn't have a full-time job a couple of years later. Now, a lot of people think nowadays it's easy to get in and you know, build your business without the hard work. The hard work has to be put in, but it can be put in a little bit different way. You're not so much reliant on doing, if your company does build through the traditional means, which a lot of companies still do, and a lot of them are billion-dollar companies, so there's nothing wrong with it, okay? And sometimes I might even encourage people to do it that way because you get much more stickiness and you get much more non-jumpers into your business. But whatever your company has to build your business, whatever it is, you got to put your dues in. And you have to put your dues in, not for 3 months, not for 6 months, but what real network marketing and internet marketing is. Develop a 3 to 5 year plan where you put your nose to the grindstone and you go out and build it. That's what network marketing was done to make the real income in network marketing. I'm not talking about having a $20,000 a month one time and then been in 50 different companies and have an organization, and then everybody's over here, and then everybody's over here, and there's everybody over here, and they come full circle. I'm talking about what was network marketing started as. Network marketing was started that if somebody was making $1,000 a month after a year, they were doing backflips. Back in the day when we got started, okay, or was it $1,000 a month? Okay, now if somebody doesn't make $2,000, $3,000 their first couple of weeks, they're gone off to the next deal that they don't make any money in either. Okay, then after around 2 years, okay, if you could replace your income, if you had a normal type job making about $30,000 to $60,000 a year, that was the goal in 2 to 3 years. And then 3 to 5 years, your goal was to retire. Retire means stay in your full-time job, retire your wife, send your kids to college, whatever the word retire means for you, that's what network marketing was done. But everybody now is jumping into deals over and over and over and over, and guess what? I don't see any of these people who are doing that with lifestyle. You can name maybe 5 or 10 of them that have a consistent lifestyle where they travel and they enjoy the fruits of their labor, okay? But for the most part, okay, none of them ever do anything. And it's, you know, it's basically a smoke and mirror show. And I'm not calling out any company. I'm just talking about the whole mindset of the industry. It was different. I mean, when a new company starts now, okay, it's how many people jumped in right overnight and this and this. When you and I joined this industry, when I joined the industry, it's going on 28 years. I mean, I probably couldn't name 10 companies on my hand. Amway, Herbalife, Shackley, Nu Skin, Mary Kay, Avon, Tupperware, and I'm talking about direct sales companies. I think Melaleuca started in '85, but they were a beef jerky company when they started, which is now Jerky Direct. And Watkins, Fuller Brush, so maybe I can name 10. But when a new company started, it was almost impossible. You didn't hear about it unless you were in those circles. And I was new, so I wasn't in those circles. Now, one push of a button, one Facebook post, everything is, they go out and get all those guys out there, and everybody, you know, thinks it's the next best thing since sliced bread. So it's a blessing to be able to promote your business like that, but it also can be a detriment. So the internet's a blessing, but it's also a detriment because people don't believe in hard work anymore. Okay, there's not, you know, I posted something yesterday. There's a new MLM coming out. It's going to be the next Alibaba because Alibaba went public, you know, and you know, because that's what it is. It's the next. Do you think that Sam Walton built Walmart overnight? No. There was fundamental business principles when it happened. And no one's making their decisions anymore in network marketing based on long-term fundamental business decisions. They're making it as a shotgun approach, okay, because they need to, because the economy sucks. And unfortunately, that's how a lot of them are brought in. And it's bad for that new person who doesn't have any experience, who's being blind, you know, the blind leading the blind, because they don't know any better. And when they get exposed, if it's their first opportunity and their upline or their sponsor is in 15 million different things overnight, well, that's what they think is correct, and it just perpetrates on all the way down.
You know, John, it's you touch on so many freaking things that it has my attention. You know, I remember Walmart in the 1980s. I think it was like 83, 84. I was down in Mejia, Texas. Just graduated from high school the year before, and I had to work on a farm. And the guy told me if I'm going to go to church, I need some clothes. So he sent me with a check to Walmart. And I said, what's Walmart? I heard of Kmart. Kmart was the blue light special. It was the big deal, right? And lo and behold, who would have thought that Walmart had this really long-term merchandising vision to go where they're going? They were willing to pay their dues. The stuff you're talking about. When I think of this industry, dude, it's amazing. You have someone who gets started, and in a few weeks they haven't really done much, and they didn't have a long-term plan, number one. Number two, the fact that it would cost them monthly scares the living daylights out of them. That oh my gosh, in order for it to work, I got to pay money. And this whole illusion that you get to the top because you landed at the right deal on the right day at the right position, it's such a foolish lie. I mean, I got to be honest with you. It's disturbing because no wonder we get the bad name in the home business arena or internet marketing arena. People spread enough hocus pocus and trick and dupe enough people to join. Hey, guess what? There's a new thing that's starting, and it's free right now. Just get in free, and in 3 months from now, they're going to flip a switch, and everybody's going to pay it once, and you're going to become rich. Everybody goes. Happens again. 2 months later, it's off and on, off and on. But the people who are able to produce long-term understand that today I'm probably not going to get there. This month, I'm probably not going to get there. This year, I may do a little something. I think of, you don't know much about Myron. I think it was like 3 years before he made his first check over $100. People are like, that's the honest God truth. When he got network marketing, he made $6 an hour as a trash truck driver. When he heard about what's possible, he got in. We all thought he was crazy, but he stayed. There's so many stories. You've paid your dues, but nothing's sicker than people thinking that they can just jump into a microwave like a genie, buy success. They pay money, so they think it's going to happen automatically. It takes money plus their commitment, and it's a long-term deal. So,
let me ask you a question, Dwayne.
Yeah.
Here's real simple. Go on to businessforhome.org and look at the top 5,000 money earners on Business from Home. You can pay for the site, but then there's a free part. So the top 5,000 earners in the industry. Okay, Go there. Other than one company who took over the internet for like the last 2.5 years that Michelangelo's part of, if you take out that small group of those people, every one of the other top money earners on there, okay, and 99.999999% of them, okay, you've never seen any of them build, okay, on the hype, on the internet, or anything else. They build their way. They do it their own way. They stayed focused, and they built long term. Not one of them, okay, not one of them has been in their company less than 3 years, if you look there. Now, they might pop a check here once and there, but then what you want to do is then you want to go down and back off, and then go into the top 1,000 money earners, the top 500. And you'll see these numbers that people talk about, pay $1, make $1 million a month, no recruiting. Pay this, do all this kind of nonsense you see out there, okay? You don't ever see any of these money earner, anybody with those companies up there listed. End of story. It just doesn't happen. So if you're looking for where the consistency, this industry's been around for 60 some odd years. If you go back to Fuller Brush and Watkins, it goes back to the 1800s. But that was more the direct sales type model. But if you look at it, if all these people with these numbers that you talk about, not you, but the way all these people are trying to prospect you, talk industry, make millions a month and stuff, that's been attained by 5 people, number one, okay? But if you're even trying to look at something like $25,000 or $50,000 a month, and you realistically want to get there in 3 to 5 years, wouldn't you follow? I'm not saying follow that specific company, but follow the same thing that those people are doing, their business acumen. Now, I'm not talking about that maybe you don't want to sell a vitamin, or maybe you don't want to sell skincare, or maybe you don't want to sell marketing services, or whatever it is, okay? But if they're doing it, and they're persistent and consistent, and they're the ones that are making the money, and nobody, the other clowns that are in 50 deals a month are making that money, why would you do something different? But people think that, because of it, that if I don't get in now, I'm going to get in there. But the long-term money. And another thing you talked about before is the finances. When people still do money, I have a friend of mine, and I hope he's not on the webinar, but I'll group it. He's between 70 and 90. This way it'll cover me. Okay, there could be a couple of these. There could be a couple of these guys. They're between 70 and 90. They're still doing network marketing. They've been in 30 deals in the last 2 years. They did make millions 30 years ago in a company that they all came from, that I'm not going to say it, okay, and they're trying to hit it again. They're not doing network marketing because they love it and supporting their organization that they built in 30 years. They're trying to swing for the fences because they bought the Rolexes, they bought the big houses, they bought the big cars, they're on to their 75th ex-wife, okay, and they spent money the wrong way, okay, and guess what? It's very, very rare that you're going to have a home run and then another big home run.
Very rare.
Very, very rare. I should be dead 50 times over, okay? I don't know why I'm here, okay? But I'll tell you this, is that even these adults, okay, if you're doing network marketing at 70 to 90 years old and you're jumping deal to deal, you're doing it because you're broke. Okay? End of story. There's no sugarcoating it. If you have an organization and you've been in one company for 30 years and you're out there supporting it because you love it, which I know of a couple of them. I met a 90-year-old person that I was speaking at an event at a meetup that I do here in Georgia. He came there. People pointed him. He joined network marketing at 70 years old. He built an organization that's paid him $5 million in the 20 years. He's making decent money. Everybody he sponsors, he gives away to his downline because he's wealthy from other businesses. He was already retired, and he does it because his wife passed away, because he considers it his family, and it's a hobby. Okay, and he's only been with one company in his whole life, and he started at 70. He's 90, probably 92 now. Okay, and that's what network marketing is supposed to be. Okay, you should be able to retire, choose to retire. Okay, and then make the decision if you want to continue doing it for the purposes of what you got into it for, not because you jumped to 30 deals. Everybody knows why you jumped to 30 deals. It's not. We don't have to be rocket scientists to find it out.
Right. You know, what's interesting is the approach I took is, you know, you have a choice. You can go to college, you go to the latest university, spend a 1 to 200 grand in 4 years to be able to come out making 80,000, maybe 100,000 a year, right? And that's not guaranteed because many of our college grads are waiting tables and working at the local golf course. And what's weird about it, and be patient, not say, oh my gosh, I got to pay monthly, I got to pay every semester. It's not even their logic. Or a person come out here and pay their dues for minimal cost, and once it's done, it's done. It's just beyond me how we don't realize everything great in our life has taken time and commitment. I love my children, but I didn't blink my eyes and they were here. It took my wife going through 3 trimesters of discomfort and misshapen and put her life at risk to deliver the kids. Then the kids were nothing more than eating and bathroom machines. There was no, that stuff that we like out of kids isn't there yet. And there was whining and crying and fevers and hospitalizations. And I didn't hear a word. I did not hear conversations until they were 15 months to 2 years. My goodness, you mean it takes that much time to have a lovely, an enjoyable relationship with a child? Of course you will love them as they're infants, but the point is, a animal can be born and on their feet the same day, walking around. But life, a human life, is so valuable, it takes time. Everything in life that I've found, I'm just turning 50 and I'm just beginning to smell the sweet stuff. It takes time. So to get in, you guys have got to turn this around. Stop looking for your miracle overnight eye-blinking thing. You meet a girl, do you marry the next day? Everybody don't answer that because some of you maybe you did. But you literally, you take the time, you get to know them, you want to take the time and build something that can last. And I'm going to tell you something. Things that last, you can success leaves clues. You can smell it. You can see it in the behavior of those who are presenting it to you. You can check it out. Do your homework. For God's sakes, love your family greater than dragging them through 25 new things every 2 years, only to always tell you don't have enough to take care of them. I'm sorry, John. I had to touch on that, but certainly.
I mean, but it translates into the same thing. Take it with professional sports, from the Olympics. Take it anything. Okay, people see people breaking records and being paid millions of dollars in basketball and football and hockey and baseball if you do that, or bands that are the classic iconic bands and stuff that worked on their craft, that worked it and been on the road and drove and slept in cars to get in front of enough people to get their music out and everything out. Yes. And some of the top rappers who went through some of the trials and tribulations that were drug slingers on the corner, and then one too many times they got arrested, they went out there and did it, and from morning to night what they finally said, you know what, enough is enough. And they put the time and effort. They got up before the sunrise to train for their craft, no matter what it is. But network marketing is, well, no, we have this new Red Share program, or we have and all we're going to do is push a button and get in now. It's a bunch of bullshit, okay? And people just don't really understand that it's like anything you want in life. Sam Walton and Warren Buffett okay, Warren, who's still with us, Sam's not. Sam Walton drove a 1972 pickup truck. Once he made the wealth, okay, he had no air conditioning, and he was in Bentonville, Arkansas, okay? So, you know, he didn't do it for the money. He did it for the drive to build a legacy. Warren Buffett lives in Nebraska. You can pull up to the front of Warren's house. He doesn't have a gated community, okay? He doesn't do anything. Once he attained it, okay, he did it for a different reason. He started with nothing, but he worked his ass off, and that's the big thing. In network marketing, you can work your ass off, and if you do, and you do get to success, the first thing you should be doing is banking the money, okay? Now, you're going to see people go out there and they buy the cars and they buy the houses, and trust me,
everything.
Okay?
Yeah.
And there's at a certain point where you want to reward yourself, and you should reward yourself in the beginning. Okay, what I mean by that is go on 90-day runs, okay, because it's hard to go for 2 or 3 years. Work for 90 days and reward yourself. If that is just, hey, we're going to do this, this, and this, we're not going to do anything else, we're not going to buy anything out of the norm, and after 90 days, we're going to go out to a dinner that we shouldn't spend. Maybe that means you're going to go spend $300, $400, $500 at dinner with you and your spouse. Whatever it is, reward yourself. You've been wanting a new washer and dryer, you buy the one washer and dryer for your spouse or whatever it is. You reward yourself like that to things there. And you do that for 3 to 5 years, because you're going to be 3 to 5 years older, and you're going to be selling the same story to your spouse that, yeah, but it was this person's fault and we shouldn't have done that, because it's not that it's happened once, it happens all the time. That's why you see the top earners where they are. People see them now, and yes, is it a little bit easier for me nowadays to build faster if I want to? Of course, because I have, you know, some of the skills that I've kind of mastered, and I learned what works and what doesn't work. And I also, what I was learned to be a master at is not having my time wasted. That's a big thing. In the beginning, I wasted too much time with people who will suck your energy and suck your time, and they won't do diddly squat. So what I learned to is I was trained by, not me, I didn't make any of this up, that everybody, you can love them, but you have to leave them, okay, if they're not on the same path that you know, is going to get you where you want to go. And if they're constantly sucking your time and it's not producing the outcome that you want, okay, and they're sucking your time just with generic nonsense, you got to cut them off. And there's a time when, hey, good luck to them, and there. And that's a big thing. You have to be able to see that sooner than later, because if you don't see it sooner than later, those 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years will go by where you could have been whatever to your goal is, retired and wealthy, but you didn't because you let it suck the time out of you. And if you manage your time and you learn that kind of stuff, 3 years goes by no time. 5 years goes by in no time at all. Okay? I can't believe my surgery was 21 years ago, February 16th, 1993. It's almost 22 years ago this February. And I can remember what it was like laying naked on the operating table when they were shaving me and everything else, like it was yesterday. That was 21 and a half years ago. So it's going to go by. You have to just learn to do some of that stuff and really kind of put blinders on.
You know, you're right. And you know, one thing that my parents used to say to me, even one of my older brother, Jeff, used to say this to me, 3 to 5 years is coming. You might as well be doing what you want to do then and deal with the stuff now. Or you can keep doing what you're doing and be where you've been going for the last 3 to 5 years. So all of us are a direct product or a result of what we've been doing the last 3 to 5 years. We don't have to like it. It's just true. Whatever you've been investing your time, money, and energy into, that's what you are now. You have total control. But to want it a miracle, most of you would be insulted if someone came to you and said, listen, I got this thing where you could be a doctor in just a couple of months. You're going to say, fake. Someone says, hey, by the way, you're going to be the most amazing chef. It's just going to take me like 2 months, and you're going to be doing so well. You're making these amazing dinners. We come to this industry, someone tells you you're duped into signing up because they promised you the moon, and you get high off of that, and then you blame them, and you blame the company that you're with because it's not true when all you had to do was do the math yourself. What we're talking about here is something that John didn't wave a white magic band. He just told you 28 years in this industry. I don't have that. I don't know what I was doing 28 years ago, but it wasn't this stuff, right? And it's reality. I remember like yesterday, John, I was 41 years of age. and I determined what I wanted to be doing by the age of 50. Now, I'm a late bloomer. I didn't go to college. I was out of high school. I didn't qualify. But I made a commitment to my family. I was in the hospital. I was just gone through mega surgeries. I was in the hospital for like 3.5 years. And I get out, and I said, I'm going to go to college, and I'm going to finish. The time's going to come and go anyway. It gives me time to heal up and get better. And I went. And during that time period, I became something different in the process. It didn't happen overnight. I got a bachelor's degree in biology and chemistry. Then after that's over, I go to work and so forth and go back to school and get an MBA. Didn't think it was coming, but it came. By the time I was 40, I had this, and then I realized I'm probably not fit for the corporate world. I want to get out there on my own. And I said, God, if you could just get me to a point where I can be free, because my kids will be gone by then, I can do this. And I didn't know any better, John. I had a 10 to 15-year plan. I had no idea. That it could be done sooner. Although there are people that have done it sooner, I just can appreciate life. I can appreciate everything I have because I know where I came from. Like you, I've lost everything more than once. By the time I got out of the hospital, dude, my wife and kids lived with her parents or my parents because we lost our home, everything we had. Starting over isn't the problem. And this is why Donald Trump and others can fall 1,000,000 times and get back up. They deal with reality. And all of you guys have to have a reality check. We're talking about coming from nowhere and going somewhere, whether it's weight loss like John's talking about, addiction, whether it's just being a better parent or whatever you're trying to do, a better spouse, it starts and finishes here. So John, as we're coming up on, the end of the hour, top of the hour, talk to us a little bit about, okay, I've already talked about the commitment you have and how you can keep your numbers high and you build pretty quickly. And what you do in the industry, you're not lazy. You're not afraid to work. That being said, can you tell some of these people about how to get to that point? Maybe they're not there now. Maybe they are where the average home business owner is, less than $100, less than $100 a month. Okay, that's the reality where the masses are. What can you tell these folks about digging their feet in and growing from there and being patient enough to wait while they're growing so they can really appreciate it?
What they have to do is this. They have to simplify everything. Network marketing, internet marketing, whatever business that certain people might be watching from this on, can seem overwhelming and overcomplicated. And you need to figure out a way to simplify that. So what do I mean by that? When you get involved in a business, let's say you're in XYZ business, and you have an upline, and your upline is great, your upline sucks, whatever it is. It doesn't really make a damn difference because, I had a great upline in the beginning. He was very hard on me. That's what I needed. He basically kicked my butt, and that's the kind of person I am because I'm not going to listen to you unless you come back at me. So when you do that, okay, you need to research the business. Your first few days in the business, if you're serious about it, you need to be either going to your upline, your upline's upline. I don't care if you got to search out your company owner. You need to go through the business model, see what they do, if they have multiple products, if they have multiple services, and you have to become a master at certain parts of that company, not the company as a whole, because it's too overwhelming. I can tell you this, if I joined another network marketing company and they had 50 different things, I'm going to go look, I'm going to master the comp plan, okay? I'm going to see how that comp plan is, and I'm going to work the comp plan if I'm in a network marketing company. I'm also going to see, by working certain parts of the comp plan, where they're the most profitable. So I'm going to work the comp plan or the company based upon what I'm offering. I'm not going to just throw everything out there. I'm going to become a master at it. And over time, I'll learn the other bits so I can talk intelligently about it. So you want to learn enough about your comp plan so you can be dangerous if we're talking network marketing. If you're an affiliate marketer, the same exact thing. Okay, why would you be marketing this way and spending this money on traffic or media buys or this when this is 10 times more effective to market it this way? and go out and figure out why. So you can use it in all facets of business. So what you want to do is you want to go see the top earners, the top money earners, the top recruiters, whatever it is in your business, and see what they're doing on a daily basis over and over and over. And if you're doing anything different, then you need to change. Now, if they're doing something not legal, moral, and ethical, don't do it because it's going to be short-lived, of course. But you need to really look. And it has to be where you take that, work with them if it's possible, or find somebody you can work with while you develop your skills to get good at it that way over and over and over and over until you can work on your own. So what that means is you need to find what you like, find where the money is being made, the way that they're marketing it, find a way to master that little by little, okay? A lot of people don't have the money to master it that way, and then build on it and get some help, team up with a buddy who has the same vision as you. It could be somebody cross-line or downline to you, and you might be building two separate organizations, okay? Most companies today will allow that if you build them separately, okay? And you might, or maybe you'll mastermind with them, and then as you build, you'll build your own team, okay, or affiliate marketing team, where then you work with those people, okay, and now they're part of your own team. Okay, that's the only way to do it, is to simplify it. If you come into any business and they have 50 services, 50 products, this team over here is building this way, they're having some success, this thing's over here, they're having success, you meet a guy at a meeting over here, he's doing it a different way because he just got in and, you know, he came from another company, he's doing it this way, you're never going to get started. You haven't mastered diddly squat, okay? So pick one of them, okay, and start on that. Guess what? Down the road, when it doesn't work anymore, you know that when a plane takes off from any airport and it's on the way somewhere else, that it's off course 99.9% of the time. Okay, a plane is off course 99.9% of the time. But guess what? When you buy your ticket in New York and you're expecting to go to Miami, most of the time you land there, unless there's some kind of crazy emergency. But do you know that the pilots are there constantly adjusting because it's off? And all you have to do is make minor adjustments over a long trip to get to your end goal.
Well said, man. You know what's interesting, John? I mean, I love the topic that we're on. It's touchy, but not too many are addressing it. You know, the magic potion era is going to end. And so far, one of the ways it's ending is every government around the world is being twice as hard than they were 5 years ago on our industry, whether it's internet marketing or home business. Things are just going to become more and more challenging, which means it's going to be harder for you to make money. And when you finally find something good, it may not last. The attacks will come. So, better get my camera on. Sorry. So one of the things I want to make sure this clear to everyone. You have to go look in the mirror, find out what your commitment is, and is you heard so many things tonight. The one thing I love that I heard tonight consistently throughout all this stuff is being grounded. You know, you just can't get there. You know, I was married 27 years. It makes me kind of old, right? I know. I've got my oldest boy. All my kids are gone from home, right? And I never thought that day was coming. But I didn't think it was going to come overnight. It's here, and I've worked the last 27 years preparing for this day, so I could be a parent and a good grandparent. I'm going to be a grandfather soon in April. So everything that's valuable to us, it takes that commitment, guys. You've heard it. John, I could go to several different places, and I know that your name's there throughout the circles. And I know what you're doing in some of those arenas. I know that you have multiple things that are making money for you. Most of these guys, a lot of these guys think that the multiple streams of incomes happens when they first put their foot in the door. They'll end up with multiple streams of income that don't even add up to $100 because they're trying to be everywhere at once and they suck at it. They don't suck because they're not good. They suck because they've not mastered. You can use that word over many times. You know what? Because I worked hard to master the first network marketing company I got started with, when I got the next one, I already had a pattern. I have a system down for how I master stuff. But I feel sad for these folks who won't take the time to master parts different parts that they're able to master. What you become in the process, the kind of leader you can become because you have the answers, instead of always deferring people everywhere else, it's a difference maker. You'll find that people want to be with you because you know you're on your game. And then you can give them a chance to learn the same concepts. You guys are going to have to get there. You're going to have to find a way to stop trying to do the shortcuts. I know in the old generations they said shortcuts are no good, but guess what? It's still true. The shortcuts aren't really, they're not real. There are sometimes you can just be good. Maybe you've worked hard. I know of people who have worked hard in other industries that is not this industry and came and they just transitioned that same way of thinking. There are some who have just mastered things that they've done in the other arenas they were in. That's different. If you've never mastered and were great at anything, it's not fair for you to put onto your sponsor or your company that it's supposed to magically happen because you joined on this day and this time. Dig in and certainly give your family a better shot instead of trying to give them a hocus pocus. It's not fair to them. They're counting on you and these things you're jumping into. So let's be fair about it. John, here's something I have for you. You used to talk about a lot of good things. Is there anything do you have anything to offer? Because I'm a big believer in this. I don't believe anyone can learn anything in a meeting, in a hangout. I think you learn something, get inspired. But the people that learn stuff, that really get it and their lives change, they take stuff home with them and they can dig in every day and apply it. Do you have anything that you can use that you can offer these guys that they can have a shot to work with stuff when you're not on this webinar, when they're not in front of you?
Yeah, definitely. Before I do that, I want to just say one quick thing. A lot of people will say, yeah, but John does multiple deals. Okay, there's 5 people at my level that make the money that we do with those 5 deals. I'm not talking about 5 little checks. It used to be a goal of 10,000 in one company. There's very few of us, and I'm saying us because I'm personal friends with some of them, and most of you don't even know their names. Okay, so it's not somebody you know. So I can tell you this. If you retire and you can go away, like I'm traveling for the next 5 weeks other than the month of October, my wife and I are going on 2 different cruises in South Beach and Key West and New Orleans and everything else. And if you can go away and your check's 5 times bigger without doing anything, great. You should have multiple streams of income. Until you get there and you're having a consistent income, and where your bills are walk away and you're having a good Christmas and you're able to send your kids to play football and buy tickets and go on a vacation at a last minute's notice and pay your bills, okay, then that's what it is. And when the checks are coming in consistently, I'm not talking about making 50 grand here, 100 grand here, and you're still struggling, okay, then you've earned the right to do it. Okay, and more power to you. Now, if you have other investments and stuff like that that are giving you residual income, or if you have a side business, maybe a brick and mortar or a lawn cutting service, or you invest into this, hey, great, that's a different type of thing. But I'm talking about consistently in a business that you're trying to do. And I've seen people in multiple deals that are selling the same type of product. Okay, they're 2 skincare products, or 2 weight loss, or 2 energy drinks, or 2 whatever. I'm like, what is the purpose? The purpose is you're broke and you need to do it. That's what it is. So, with that said, but there's a lot of things you can do. If you look on my desk here, okay, do I have these books? There's Eric Warre's book, and you'll see this is my friend, good friend. You'll see me and Russell were with our wives in the Dominican Republic last year. This is one of Russell's products here. I mean, but I pick up books all the time. I have a Kindle. Okay, but I buy these types of things. You can see the kind of books here. One of the books that was influential when I was in the financial services industry, this is a guy named Mehdi Fahazad. Okay, Mehdi Fahazad, he had a thing called The Streets Are Paved with Gold. He was the #1 insurance person ever in the world. Okay, he came over from Iran breaking bricks for 25 cents a day. But I don't make any money on those. So I'm just kidding. I'm going to give you this for free. Okay, this is my book, okay, and if you see there, and if you see here, and a lot of people probably on this webinar probably have had it, but if you look there, Johnny Wembry, okay, who I started late in the industry with, who's one of my good friends, you know, him and his wife, Crystal, he wrote From the Hood to Doing Good. Johnny was a gangbanger. You can read a story in From the Hood to Doing Good. But then you'll also see Les Brown, Jim Rohn's last interview. Les, a lot of people don't know this, but whoever was in one of our companies in Vegas, Les ran up to the front of the room when we were at another event that we were speaking at. And then Jack Canfield, who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul. So what I want to do is you can get this in digital copy on Amazon or anything else, but I'm going to give it to you for free. So you can go and get the digital copy for free by going to imasteredfailure.com. So the book is titled...
I have it here. I have it here. Can I share it with them now?
Yeah, go ahead. So...
Wow.
But what I'm going to do is this. Even if you had this book in digital form, now after in digital form you can actually buy an autographed copy from me. It'll do what's called an upsell, one of my marketing funnels and stuff. But if you go to imasteredfailure.com, which Dwayne should be putting up there, what I'm going to do is this. I don't care what company you're in. I think I can show the offer. Yep.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
They already see it. It's already on the screen. They're already going out there.
What I'm going to do is tomorrow, because there's going to be people watching the replay probably of this and stuff like that, whoever downloads this book, you do not have to buy a physical copy. Just go get the free copy. It'll come to you in zip form, whether you have a Kindle, you have an iPad, you want to read it on your computer, you can unzip it, it'll have there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a randomizer on it for anybody from this webinar for the next 24 hours. And I'm going to give a free 30-minute phone consultation to one random person who just downloads it, whether you downloaded it already or you didn't download it, okay? Or even if you've had this book already, if you go through and opt in, use a different email, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a free 30-minute consultation that I will announce when I get back from New Orleans. And one person, I'll do a free 30-minute consultation, no strings, not pitching you on my business. I'm going to listen to your business and your bottle, and I'm going to tell you what I think you're doing wrong. Okay, what I think. Now, you could tell me to go scratch my whatever, okay, but I'm going to give you, if you can take it, I'm going to critique your business and do it. I'm going to give it random. I don't care if you're brand new in the business. I don't care if anybody knows who you are in the business. And I don't care if you're an expert. If you're an expert, hey, great. We might know each other. So that's what I'm willing to do. So even if you did get this book, use a different email address on imasteredfailure.com, and then I will pick one random person, just one, and I will do a 30-minute consult with them about their business and everything else, and tell them where I think that they should be working on a little bit different.
Wow, you guys heard it. Get over there, get it now, download it. You may be the one, and you got to know, Jon has consulted with different companies to get a one-on-one with someone who's been there, 28 years in it. You ask me, hey, what are you waiting for? Get over there, and then certainly get the autographed copy. There's nothing wrong with digital copies. I'm a big fan. I have a lot of books in my iPad and stuff too. But digital copies are really great.
Yeah, it's not like, it's $25. The book sells for $20. The shipping's $5. So $25. I don't charge, for the autograph or whatever, for doing it. I physically get the orders and they go out normally within 24 hours. Well, I actually sign it. I actually write something to you and I sign every one of them myself. My wife doesn't do it. My puppies don't do it. I don't outsource it to somebody else. They go out. That's if you wanted to buy a copy for $25. You can have one of those.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So here's the deal. Everyone, because a lot of people are asking, don't worry if you had challenges tonight. The one thing about this is web-based software, and your internet speed at that time will have a lot to do with it. But I'm going to send out a replay, so don't be worried. We have your email addresses, all of yours, so don't fret it. You'll have a chance to re-listen. But understand, practice. Don't be a professional listener. Many of you are professional listeners. I want you to become professional appliers. Be someone who can apply what you hear so it can make a difference in your life. Jon, man, I tell you, it's been a wonderful time tonight hearing the story behind the man and letting everyone get a chance to realize, guess what? You're human too. And you've had roadblocks, but it didn't stop you. It actually it propelled you to want more out of your life. So, there you go. imasteredfailure.com. And we put it on the screen too.
Yeah, I think we did, but I can't see it. So somebody posted in there. They put master failure, so I just put it in there so everybody could see it.
Beautiful. All right, so guys, let's get this thing done. You deserve it. Your families deserve it, no matter what company you're with. And always remember, it was never about a company, a product, or a sponsor. It's in you. The person you put makeup on or shave, that's where the real thing's going to come from. God bless you guys. Have a great night. It's been an absolute pleasure. John, great job, home run, and give Gina my best, my man. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Dwayne. Thanks.